The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 18. Chapter 18 is the final chapter of the Gita. In this chapter, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna the difference between sannyas, that is renunciation, and tyag, that is relinquishment or surrender. He advises that we should surrender or give up only the rewards and the fruits of action and not the actions themselves. He tells about the three kinds of action, the three kinds of knowledge, the three kinds of intelligence, and the three kinds of perseverance or efforts in accordance with the attributes of nature, as well as about the three kinds of happiness. He also explains the qualities and duties of Brahmins, kshatriyas, vaishyas, and of the lower castes born of their respective natures. He speaks of the yoga of action, of supreme realization and Brahma, of the highest devotion, of how to overcome distress and trouble, and with the final exhortation to Arjuna that he leave everything and take refuge only in him, Lord Krishna promises Arjuna that he would free him from all sins. He concludes his discourse chapter. Arjuna asks Krishna, Lord, I would like to know about sannyas and about tyag. What is the difference between the two? Please explain to me in detail. Lord Krishna explains, listen Parth, sannyas is renunciation. It is the giving up of all actions motivated by selfish desire. Tyag is surrender. Tyag is the giving up of all the fruits. It is the giving up of all the rewards of all the actions. While in sannyas, action itself is renounced. In tyag, it is the fruit, it is the reward of actions that is renounced, and not the actions themselves. Some Pandits, the learned ones, hold that action itself carries within it defects and taints, and therefore, considering action as tainted, it should be given up, it should be renounced. Other learned ones, however, hold that the activities of sacrifice, of austerity, and of charity should never be given up. Now hear the truth about tyag or surrender, which is of three types. Activities such as sacrifice, austerity, and charity should never be given up, because these activities purify the intelligent ones who undertake them. But these activities too should be performed without any attachment and by totally surrendering the fruits of such activities. This is my considered and final view. Any action worth doing should never be given up. One's prescribed and ordained duty, one's natural duty and action should never be given up. Giving up such activity on account of ignorance is called tamsik tyag. The person who gives up his prescribed duty because he finds it difficult to do, or because he fears bodily pain or harm in doing so, such tyag is rajasic tyag, and he gets no benefit from such tyag, from such surrender. But the person who does his prescribed work thinking that it is his ordained duty, that it is part of his righteous conduct to do so, and who gives up all attachment to the activity as well as to the fruit or reward of that activity, such tyag is called sattvic. The intelligent person who surrenders, whose all doubts and all misgivings have been set at rest, and whose nature is sattvic, such a one always dwells in Satgun. He neither despises bad deeds, nor does he have any attachment to good deeds. Giving up work totally is impossible for the embodied. But he who totally surrenders the fruit and the reward of his actions, he is called a renouncer, he is called a tyagi. Those who have not surrendered the fruit of their actions during their lifetime, after death, they are bound to get the fruit of their actions, which would be of three kinds: pleasant, unpleasant, and mixed, that is, partly pleasant and partly unpleasant, and it is this fruit that becomes the cause of their rebirth. But those who have given up the fruit of their actions, after death, they get no fruit. They are freed from the actions and the resultant bondage of those actions, and therefore they get out of this cycle of births and deaths. They become free from repeated births and deaths. According to the Sankhya doctrine, there are 5 causes for doing work. 1 is the place of work. 2 is the doer of that work. 3 the resources required for doing work. 4 the efforts involved in doing work. And 5th, providence or God, who makes everything possible and who is actually doing all this. One who, with his body or with his mind or with his speech, does any work, proper or improper, it is only as a result of these 5 elements, these 5 causes all acting together. But the person who, on account of his dull and low intelligence, his ignorance and his ego, believes that he alone is the doer, he is ignorant and he does not see the proper form of work. The person who does not have this feeling of ego, that he alone is the doer, and who understands that providence also has a hand in all the actions, whose intelligence is not attached to the fruits of action, he, while slaying all these people, yet does not slay them, and he does not get into the bondage on account of his actions. The causes that inspire a person to action are 3: knowledge, the goal of knowledge, and the doer who knows. The causes that form the basis of action and which make action possible are also 3: resources, action, and the doer of action. Knowledge, action, and the doer of action are also differentiated into 3 types according to the 3 attributes of nature: Satgun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, as indicated in the Sankhya doctrine. The knowledge whereby a person sees the underlying unity in the diversity of creation is sattvic or pure and good knowledge. Although apparently divisible and present separately in all beings, he sees the Lord's imperishable authority and sovereignty as one and the same in all beings. He sees only the unity of God's creation, and he sees God as the same in all beings and in all creation. The knowledge that on account of the different forms and the different shapes, and also because of the diversity of beings, sees them all as separate, is Rajasic knowledge. In this, he sees the Lord's imperishable authority and sovereignty divided among beings, as a result of which he differentiates and discriminates between them. The knowledge by which a person does not understand the truth, which is narrow and limited, and which considers any one single action without considering its cause and effect as the be-all and the end-all of everything, such knowledge is tamasic. It is not knowledge, but it is ignorance. The action which is prescribed in the scriptures, which is in accordance with one's nature, and which is done without attachment, without hatred, and without expectation of fruit or reward, such action is sattvic or pure. The action that is done with the desire for fruit, with great effort, and with ego is Rajasic action, and the action that is done out of ignorance, with violence, to cause harm, that is done without thought to one's capacity to do the action, and that is also done without thought of future bondage on account of the action, is tamasic action. The doer of action who is without ego, who is without attachment, who is full of enthusiasm and patience, and who remains balanced and the same in success and in failure, and who is not moved or confused by them, such a doer is a sattvic doer. The doer who is motivated by passion and anger, who is eager to get the fruit of his labor, who is greedy, who is violent by nature, who is impure, and who is moved and confused by both joy and sorrow. Such a doer is a rajasic doer. And the doer who is unbalanced, who is materialistic, who is stubborn, who is deceitful, who insults others, who hates, who is troubled, who keeps on delaying and putting off actions, such doer is tamasic. Now hear about intelligence and perseverance according to the three attributes of nature, which I will tell you separately and in detail. The intelligence that understands the difference between action and inaction, between action worth doing and action not worth doing, between what we should fear and what we should not fear, between what binds and what frees. Such intelligence is sattvic, it is pure and good. The intelligence that only partially understands the difference between the good and the bad, between righteousness and unrighteousness, between work worth doing and work not worth doing, such intelligence is rajasic, it is passionate and incomplete. And the intelligence that is steeped in ignorance and darkness, that considers the bad as the good and the good as the bad, the unrighteous as the righteous and the righteous as the unrighteous, that considers adharma as dharma and dharma as adharma, that is always focused in the wrong direction and that always goes on the wrong and contrary path, such intelligence is tamasic, it is dark and evil. The determination that is strong and resolute, and by which one keeps the mind, the life breaths, and the activities of all the senses focused and under control, such determination, such perseverance is sattvic, good and pure. And the determination by which a person remains strongly attached to his religion, his duty, his wealth, his desires, his actions, and to the fruits of those actions, remaining trapped in them, such determination, such perseverance is rajasic, passionate and incomplete. And the determination by which the unintelligent person does not renounce sleep, fear, grief, cruelty, despondency and pride, and remains stuck in them, such determination, such perseverance is tamasic, dark and impure. Now Parth, listen to the three kinds of joy. The joy that comes from a clear understanding of the Atma, in which a person through long practice experiences bliss, by which all his sorrows end. Such joy is sattvic, which is like poison in the beginning, but it is like nectar in the end. That joy which comes from the senses, enjoying the objects of the senses, is rajasic joy, which is like nectar in the beginning and like poison in the end. And that joy which in the beginning as well as at the end keeps the Atma in doubt and confusion is tamasic and results from sleep, sloth, ignorance and carelessness. In all the three worlds, including that of the Devas of heaven, there is no one who is free from these three attributes of nature who does not have these three attributes, Sattvagun, Rajagun or Tamagun. Brahmins, kshatriyas, vaishyas and lower castes all have qualities in accordance with their respective natures. Hear about them. The Brahmins' natural attributes are humility, a peaceful disposition, self-control, penance and austerity, purity, patience and fortitude, truthfulness, knowledge and wisdom, study of the scriptures and faith in dharma, in righteousness. The kshatriyas' natural attributes are leadership, courage, strength, perseverance, competence and skill, not fleeing from battle, and a generous and charitable disposition. The Vaishya's natural duty is agriculture, animal husbandry and trade. The natural duty of the lower castes is to serve. Each one doing his natural and ordained duty achieves realization. Now listen as to how, doing one's natural, one's ordained duty, how a person may achieve realization. Performing the duty enjoined by one's nature, following one's dharma or one's righteous conduct, is like worshipping that Supreme Lord, that Paramatma from whom all beings are born and who pervades the entire creation. One's natural duty, even though performed imperfectly, is far, far better than performing another's duty. A person who performs his natural duty diligently can never commit sin. Therefore, one should never give up. One should never renounce one's natural duty, even though it may have some defect or flaw in it. Because just as fire is covered by smoke, so too does every duty have some flaw or some imperfection or the other in it. The person whose intelligence is always unattached, who has no desire left in him, and who has even controlled his Atma, his soul, he, through renunciation, reaches that highest, supreme state, reaching which he is freed from all actions. After achieving realization, how one attains Brahma, the Absolute, which is the culmination, which is the highest point of all knowledge, now I will tell you about that. Full of and brimming with intelligence, keeping himself firmly under control, controlling sound and all other senses and their objects, and renouncing attraction, renouncing attachment, and renouncing aversion, residing in a secluded place, eating frugally, eating but little, keeping one's speech, keeping one's body, keeping one's mind under control, seeking shelter in dispassion and detachment, renouncing one's ego, renouncing one's might, renouncing one's power, renouncing one's pride, renouncing one's desires, and renouncing one's anger and one's property, giving up all these, and also accepting and believing that he owns nothing, that he has ownership over nothing. Then, with that belief and becoming of serene conscience and consciousness, he becomes fit to become one with Brahma, the Absolute. And when he becomes one with Brahma, the Absolute, and becomes a serene soul, then he has neither any sorrows nor does he have any desires. Considering all beings as one, as equal, he attains to my supreme devotion. And through this devotion of his to me, he comes to know in truth who I am and what is my extent. Then, knowing me in my true form, he enters into me, coming into my refuge, even though he is always engaged in all types of work, yet through my grace and compassion, he attains the eternal, immortal, and supreme state. Merging yourself completely in me, offering up all your actions by your conscious mind to me, taking refuge in the yoga of knowledge, keep your thoughts always on me. Fixing your consciousness always on me, by my grace, you will cross all obstacles and all difficulties. But if, because of your false ego, you do not listen to me, you will perish. If on account of your false ego and your misconception, you think that you will not fight this war, then you are sadly mistaken, because your very own nature will compel you to fight the war. Because of doubt, the act you do not want to do, the war you do not wish to fight, that very act you will do, that very war you will fight, without even having the desire to do so. You will do all this helplessly, because your very own nature will force you to do this act, and you will not be able to resist. The Lord dwells in the hearts of all beings, and through his power, controlling them, He moves them around as if they were mounted on a machine. Go with your entire being, with your entire body and soul, into the refuge of that very Lord. By His grace, you will attain supreme peace and the supreme abode. In this way, I have told you this secret knowledge, which among all secrets is the most secret, and which among all knowledge is the highest knowledge. Think about all this, weigh and consider it very carefully, ponder over it, and then do as you wish. Now also hear my utmost secret words, which are the most secret and full of mystery, because you are dear to me. I will tell you only that which is good for you. Fix your mind on me, become my devotee, sacrifice for me, salute me, worship me. By doing so, you will most certainly reach me. I promise you this, because you are very dear to me. Abandon and give up all actions, give up all duties, give up all ideas, give up all views, and give up all concepts. Give up everything and just take refuge only in me. Do not grieve. I will free you. I will liberate you from all sins. Remember, Parth, this secret knowledge must never be given to one who has done no penance, who has done no austerity in life, who has no faith to listen to it, who does not have faith and belief in me, or who hates me. Whosoever teaches this supreme secret to my devotees, he shows pure devotion towards me, and he most certainly, without doubt, will reach me. There is no one dearer to me among men in this whole world than the one who does my work, nor will there be anyone dearer to me than him. And whosoever studies this sacred and pure dialogue of ours, whosoever reads it, I will understand that he worships me with the sacrifice of knowledge. And whosoever listens to this sacred and pure dialogue of ours with full faith, devotion, and belief, and without hatred, he too is freed and reaches the blissful realms of the pure souled ones. Parth, have you heard all this with full concentration and attention? Have all your doubts, have your ignorance and your delusion been removed? Arjun replies, Lord, I have heard all that you have said with the utmost attention and concentration. By your grace and kindness, and by your explaining everything in detail, all my doubts have been removed. My ignorance and my delusion have been destroyed. My memory has also returned to me, and I have become calm and composed. I will do my duty and fight this war. Here, the dialogue between Lord Krishna and Prince Arjun concludes, after which Sanjay says to Dhritarashtra, Sire, in this way I have heard this most wonderful dialogue between two great ones, Lord Krishna and Prince Arjun, hearing which my hair stands on end. By the grace of sage Vyas, I was able to hear this secret Yog from the very mouth of the Lord of Yog, Lord Krishna himself. Sire, remembering this most marvelous and most sacred dialogue between Keshav and Arjun, again and again I drown in bliss. And whenever I recall that ultimate and wonderful form of the Lord Hari, I am absolutely amazed and thrilled through and through. Wherever there is the Lord of Yog, Yogeshwar Krishna, and wherever there is the bow-wielding archer Arjun, there will always be glory, victory, well-being, sound policy and righteousness there. This is my firm and strong belief. End of chapter 18. End of Bhagavad Gita. Om Shanti 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 Om.